Okay, give it to Vach, everybody. Tonight is the 38th night of the Omer, and we are holding the Vlamed Hey, so we're a couple of our behind. With Hashem's help, we will finish in time for Shavuos, but we're going to do what we can do over here. Zok the Gemara. We're in the middle of the story of what happened when the Eden crossed the Yarden. So we said that just a quick synopsis, the Kohanim were carrying the Aron, which you said was not a common thing, and they walked into the Yarden split, which means that because it's a running river, the water kept on coming downstream, and it stopped coming downstream, just kept on piling up higher and higher, and then to the right was completely dry. In other words, downstream was completely dry because the water just ran off, and the machlekes went up 12 mil, 300 mil, 300 divisional, but that's the basic story. They went across, and Yeshua warned them that you're going across Amanas. You have to take the Goyim out. You have to take the Goyim out. Fine. The Kivan Dr. Gemara. We're holding in the widest lines of the Gemara, the first wide line, 3 words in. The Kivan she'alu ha'achron should be Yisrael min yadei chazu mayim mukhaimim. As soon as the last Jew went through the Yadin to the other side, and they cross from east to west, right? The Inter Yisrael is going westward. As soon as the Kohanim who were carrying the Aron stepped back onto the dry land, by Yeshuvu me'ayadin mukaiman vayelchu kismal shoshem ad called Gedaisav. They went and filled up regular like it was 2 days ago, yesterday, and 2 days ago. Nimtza Arin v'noisav v'kahanim, v'noisav hakahanim really, mitzad echa v'yisrael mitzad echa. So it comes out, the Kahanim just took 2 steps back. In other words, they didn't walk into the middle of the Yarden. They took 1 step into the Yarden, the whole thing stopped, the whole production stopped, the Yidden went across, and then they walked back out. So now they're standing on the east side, and the Yidden are on the west side, in Eretz Yisrael. Nasa Arin, so what happened from then, Nasa Arin, as Naisav the Avar, and it flew over the Yarden and didn't do another crossing. It didn't do another splitting. It took the Kohanim that were holding onto it and jumped over, flew across the Yarden. So I think the diak is because it puts Aron Hashem first. That I think that's the diak of why. How we know that they went over. It could be that there's another way of learning, but that's what I remember. Knows what the diak is that it went over. Fine. I'm sorry. And the fact that the Aron was able to travel and carry its carriers, Nenash Uza. Uza did not chap this or did not remember this, and he got punished because of it. The Aron was coming back after being captured. David Melech, and he negotiated its release, the Aron's release, and it was coming back to Kidan. And it looked like it was going to topple over, and he tapped it to make sure that it doesn't fall. Amalei Kadosh Baruch Hu leUza, Uza. Amalei Kadosh Baruch Hu told Uza, Naisa Atzma like Kol Shekain. It's the people who carry it. It can carry, and itself. You think it needs help? Vayichar Af Hashem beUza vayakeu sham al hashal, and he killed him there on Shal, which means because of the Shal. We're going to see what that means in a second. We see Hashem was angry at Uzzah and he killed him on the spot. Now, what's interesting is, I did not see this inside, but it seems like Hakadosh Baruch Hu punished him because of the Kavachaimer, which we know is not the halacha. Right? We don't, and ain't anshim medin. So Hashem is making Kavachaimer. The Aron carries itself, carries the chaver that it carried. Of course, itself it can carry. But there's an issa to touch the Aron, and that's not the Kavachaimer. The Kavachaimer is, no one's like, how could you make such a mistake? The Kavachaimer is not. That's where the einish came from. Because we don't punish from din. Rabbi Yechon Amar. So now we're going to have machlekes in what the shal means, and what al shal. Rabbi Yechon Rabbi Elazar Chad Amar al itzkei shalu, which is like lashon the shagi that he made a mistake. Rashi says the Chad Amar she'asa tzrachav b'fanav. He went to the bathroom in front of the Aron. I don't think he did it to be mavaz the Aron, but it's still obviously tremendous bizayin to the Aron. That to go to the bathroom, you don't go to the bathroom. Imagine going to the bathroom in the middle of a shul, taking a porta potty and a portable bathroom and going to the bathroom in a shul would be the design. Even if you don't do it for that, but it's still tremendous. And the lashon shal is lashon of like there's something that like that it goes through the system, like that's the lashon of shal. Yom Hasham im aroin alikim. So medayik from there, I'm Yechanan uzabal olam haba. Shenema im aroin alikim. because it says that he died with the Aron, and then again, we know that he died with the Aron because he was standing right there, and that's what the Aron was. So why is it? It's the fact that it mentions the same pasuk. Masha says because why? What do you mean la'olam? It's because it was greatness. Ishayahu hit it. Ishayahu hit it, and maybe it's just Ishaya, but he hit it when Bizman Chorban Bayis Rishon, and we have it forever. It's not like Chalila and Nebuch like the menorah sitting in the Vatican somewhere. We have it, and it's Kaim La'olam. So too Uzzah, even though he was Chayta and Hakadosh Baruch had tremendous Yichar Af, whatever that means, he still is Kaim. David, and David was very. Now Yichar, we just said Yichar Af and Hashem means that he was angry, but we're saying Yichar David Shaparatz Hashem Paratz Uzzah that he was. We're going to see that it means that he was embarrassed, or he was upset, not angry and with an anger, but anger like he was disappointed in himself. Really, it was more of like his face got blackened, so it was like a Marish Chayra type of, not Marish Chayra to say on David, but more of like he was upset at himself. I'm not sure about the right English word to capture that emotion is, but he's upset that Hashem punished Uzzah. His face went like a cake that was baked on coals. Actually, a certain type of uga, a cake that's baked on the oven and it gets black. Do we have to now question every single time it says Vayichar if it was Vayichar that he was angry, or Vayichar that he was like embarrassed or pained? Hasam ksiv af. When it says Vayichar af, that means anger. Vayichar plain can mean that he got blackened and he was distraught. Darish Rava Mefneiman Nenesh David. So what does it mean Nenesh David? David, this is some sort of punishment. We learned in Makkos that Megalgalin Playvayde Chayev, Megalgalin Zchos Ayde Zakai. When something bad happens to somebody, and this is what they say also why you have to klap achet. You have to klap achet on einzim. Why you klapping on einzim? You part from einzim. Someone puts a gun in your face and says you have to eat a child. Why you have to? Because something can't be done to you. You can't. It can't be that you're nichshel on something. But einus, if you don't have a certain, if you don't have a little bit of a shaykhus to that, if you don't have a little shaykhus to that in like b'mezid kind of. So the fact that you have a shaykhus to that, it opens the door for einsim. So even einus you have to do kapara for. So here also, the fact that this whole thing was guided because of him, that was an einish in a way. Right. So we said elamata da da da. Darish Rava, Mefneiman Nenesh David, Mefnei Shekar LeDivei Torah Zemiros. He called the Divei Torah Zemiros. Shenama Zemiros Hayulei Lechuke Bebeis Begurai. I'm like, now this is a really beautiful tefillah what he's saying, and he explained that there's an Indian of Zemiros that's very powerful, and it also has a small connotation for like a leichte Indian. So because David, it was whatever capacity David was plaguing his machshavah that he meant Zemiros in that way also of like a leichte Indian. That's why he was nenesh. And again, his nenesh is that he forgot something, and we're going to see the Gemara is going to describe more later. I'm like Hakadosh Baruch Hu. A divrei Torah shekasa b'hem. The Gabi Torah that's written about it has hasoif einecha boy ve'inenu. If you close your eyes for a second, it disappears. In other words, something that's so chamer, so chashiv, so you need such a covered race when you're dealing with it. At the current ice Zemiros, you're going to call like a Shabbos Zemiros, Baruch, you just like sing a song. You forget what you're up to. It doesn't matter. I'm going to be machshel you, I say. I mean, you're going to forget something entirely that even every little kid knows. Moshe Rabbeinu did not give Bnei Kahas wagons to carry the stuff that they were carrying through the midbar, because everything that they held had to be, at least the Aron that they were holding had to be held biyadayim, had to be held on the shoulders. And they didn't use wagons. But over here, you see, it says that David HaMelech sent wagons to go pick up the Aron, or at least he sent wagons. So v'asya v'agalta, and you put the Aron on a wagon, which because it was on a wagon, there was a hechemza for it to look like it was falling, and then Uzzah chapped it, and then he died. So this all happened because he made light of the Torah. Again, we know that Hakadosh Baruch Hu is medayik on tzaddikim chafut tasara, very very stringent and very very darkistic way that we can't really understand. And it's like we feel bad, like he didn't really do anything, and he has a death on his hands. Kilu. This is how Hakadosh Baruch Hu deals with tzaddikim. Another story that Chevron Beishemesh got hit for also doing something disrespectful in front of the Aron. Kiro ba'Aron, because they saw the Aron. Because they saw the Aron, they got hit, they died. They were in the middle of being kaitzer in the field, and the Aron passed by, and they didn't stop being kaitzer to be mishtachava. So imagine somebody, he's talking to the king, and the king comes by, and he gives their shtachava, and he's still cleaning up the floor next. It's a bezayin. So let's imagine the Aron you stop what you're doing and you give cover to the Aron. I spoke to Rabbi Radinsky and asked him what's trying this Gemara because I didn't really understand. I was a Marashach. If it's such the Gemara is going to describe these very chashuv people. So what was their how can they do something like that? So he said maybe that they were working for somebody and their cheshbon was that they shouldn't be mevatel avoda on someone else's money for the Aron, but the nice they should. He said that's like more of a dakistik toast, not like doesn't make sense that it was Shiva. So they describe mamish chashuvim that they would make this mistake and they would be mevatel the Aron like this. He also said something derogatory, which again, if we're going to talk about Rosh Hashivas, it's a little bit hard to understand what they said. They said the following: Man amriach the Maisa, who said something to you to offend you that you left? Man asa Allah is paista, and who said something that was befayis you that you came back? Again, I don't think I said this before. The story over here is that it's another time that the Aron was captured and it was passing through Beit Shemesh on the way home. So they said something. So again, according to this shita, they said like, "Oh, what happened that you left, and why are you coming back? Like, who was mafayis you?" So the pasuk says that they 50,000 and 70 and 50,000 people were hit. Now it doesn't say above over there. The pasuk says shivim ish chamishim ish. If it says v'chamishim ish, like it says in the Gemara before they take it out, then it's just 50,000 and 70 people. Like there's no real discussion. But over here, because it says the Mad Lashon says 70 and 50,000, but not with the vav, it says Vayach ba'am shivim ish, chamishim elef ish, v'bivo v'bilezer chal amar shivim ish hayu v'chol echad v'echad shaku v'chamishim elef. Each one of these 70 people were like 50,000 people in chashivas. V'chad amar chamishim elef hayu v'chol echad v'echad shaku k'shivim sanhedrin. Each one of them was shaku like either the whole 70 sanhedrin, or he was right to be on the 70 sanhedrin. I don't remember what that means exactly. Rashi doesn't say. But I'm curious if it means that the shakal connected the whole thing. That seems a bit interesting. Okay. So after when they went weiter, this is after the story of Uzzah. They took the Aron with them, and they were bringing it into the Mizbeach. This is 3 months later, after it was by someone else. I forgot the name, but it was by someone else for Tkufa. And then they brought it into the bringing it back home, mamish, into the base of Midrash, into the Kodesh Kodashim. So Haiki Tzadu Naisei Aron Hashem Shishat Tzadim. They went 6 steps. Vayizbach Shar Umiria. B'Ksiv Shivim Param Shivim Elim. And it says that they did 7 param and 7 elim. Amar Papa Bashmo, Al Kol Psia Shara Maria. Every step was 6 was a shar and a Maria. Maria is just like it doesn't say a min, but it's like a fatling, just an animal that's raised just for slaughter. Al Kol Sheish Psia Shiva param and Shiva elim. And every 6 psias was 7 param and 7 elim. Amalei Reb Chizda Imkain Mileises call Eretz Yisrael b'bamas. The whole Eretz Yisrael is going to be full with bamas if you did that many shchitas. El Amar Reb Chizda. The cheshbon is not that much better, but I guess it's a little bit better. Akol sheish v'sheish psiyas shar Maria. Every 6 steps they did a shar psiya. Al kol shisha sedarim shal sheish psiyas. Every set of 6 steps, which means every 36 steps, shiva param and shiva elim. And the idea of 6 steps is because that's
42. Mo.
6 times 6 is 36.
Oh no, I thought 7 times 6.
No, 6 times 6, and then there was Shiva Elim. There was Shiva Parm and Shiva Elim. They shechted
got
7
you.
And 7 Elim at least you're listening. every set of 6 steps, 6 sets after every 6 sets of 6 steps, they did a 7 and 7 Parm and 7 Elim. And the chashivas of 6 steps. They say, I think that's how many steps. This whole thing was as a thank you that like Uzzah died, and the people who are carrying the Aron now didn't die. So Uzzah took 6 steps to catch the Aron. So every 6 steps was a davar chashiv. Right? That's what I saw brought down. I don't know if that's across the board, but that's one sheet that I saw. Ksiv kidam ksiv nachain. When it refers to the story twice, it refers to where the story happened. But with Uzzah, it says once kidan and then nachain. Amar Rav Yochanan betchila kidan and b'sayif nachain. What does that mean? Kidan is a spear. So the first time that the Aron was by Uzzah, really by Uzzah's father, I forgot his name, but then it was a kidan, it was a spear, it killed Uzzah. Because of the Aron, Uzzah died, I should say. And ksiv nachain, then it was nachain because it went to someone's house. 1 second. I think it's Shloisha to change it to. Yeah. Shloisha Chadashim, Beveis Oyved Edom, Nasa Nachen Shehechen as base of the Chsiva, Yivarach Hashem as Oyved Edom. Oyved Edom had his wife and all those, and his 8 daughter-in-laws each had 6 kids at every single pregnancy. So they had a tremendous amount of bracha over there. So you see, then it's Nachen, it was like, that was like more Miyusha. So you see that the first time the Torah was put, the Aron was put somewhere, it was acted like a spear, and the second time it was Nachen. So I said there was 3 sets of stones. We said before we were talking about the middle of the stones, but the stones of the Yidin, 12 and 12. 12 that stayed there as a Zeicher Olam, and 12 that they wrote the Torah on and took with them to Gilgal. And we're saying there's a 3rd set that we didn't talk about yet. Moshe put 12 stones in Moab. Moshe explained the Torah. And then it says over there, Be'er hated. We said Be'er, just like by us, it says that has to be on stone. So too, Moshe was on stones. And the other one that's in Gilgal, and that they put in Gilgal, those are the ones that the Torah is written on. So as a Torah, how did they write what was the process of writing it on the stones? They wrote it on the stones itself. And then they covered over the plaster to preserve, I guess, or to hide in a way. We'll see, because we didn't want to make it too easy for the guy, maybe, but to plaster over the lettering. What's the point? The whole point was that the Torah was used. This Torah writing and leaving it there in the open is like a final nail in the casket for the Goyim to say that they didn't have opportunity to learn. They have the art scroll is sitting there next to the Yidin. You can open it up and read whatever you want. But according to Yehuda, that the whole thing is covered with tar, with cement. Then how do you sit? Not tit. How do you expect them to learn? Right. The whole point is that it should be available to learn. Amalai bina yiseda nasa memakash baruch v'shigrin noitrein l'shavem v'kilfu es hasid v'hisi uha. Hashem gave them a dream. They said that they should stop, that there's something going on over there. They sent their experts and their chachamim. They took off the sid, and they learned it, and they had access to it. This is their final blow, and putting them in forever that they can't come back and with taina. They had the ability to learn, and they couldn't learn. Now, this is a taina. I mean, for us today, shouldn't be mekachrik, but the amount of Torah that's available today, it's going to be very tough for someone to come to Shemaim and say, I didn't know how to learn. It's going to be a big challenge. We'll have other excuses, but not having information is not going to be the answer. Rabbi Shimon, he has it. So even though Rabbi Yehuda answered his taina, but he has another mahalach anyway. Al-Gabi said, so they wrote it. First they plastered the stones, and then they wrote it. And it was Be'er Hativ. It's a much more nicer ksav when it's written on plaster. The contrast is better. Because of them, the mata, and on the bottom it says the mana shelo yilamdu eschem lasois kechal. Basically, it was. The reason this pasuk is telling us why we have to get rid of the Canaanim, that we shouldn't learn from all their meisim. So it was telling them, if you're from out of town, if you're not from in Canaan, but if you're from out of town and you want to be chayz b'tshuva, we'll accept you. Amar Rav Bashila, my time in the Rabbi Shimon, the Chsid, the Hayu Amim, Misrafoi Sid. That Al Iske Sid, the Am are going to be burned from Sid, what it means because of the Sid. In other words, because of the Torah that was explained, that written out clearly on Sid, that you didn't take advantage of, that's your strafer, that's your end. So what does Rabbi Yehuda do? Now, Rabbi Yehuda can't say, oh, Sid was covering it, because that's a Patur. The point of Shimon is it's written on the Sid. I made it as nice as possible for you, and you decided not to learn. But according to Rabbi Yehuda, this Sid is a reason for them not to learn it. Yeah, they have a bini yisera, but it's an excuse keilu that they have. So it wouldn't make sense for them to be burnt because of Sid, zichanat. Rabbi Yehuda, kisid, mas, it's kisid. Not because of the Sid, but just like Sid. Masid ein lo yitakana el esreifa, af umas ha'olam ein lam takana el esreifa. The way the article explains it is that the way you get Sid is from a certain rock. I think a lime, they have to burn the lime and they get the plaster. So the only way to get the Sid and to be misakin it is with Sreifa. So too the Goyim will be misakin through Gehenim of Eish. Kaman Azla Hadatani. Who does it go according to this the following verse? It says V'shavisa Shivya the rabbis Kananis Shabachutz La'aretz She'im ChayzimEtshuva Mekavonesa. This is talking about the just blanked out. When you capture a idol from a war. What does Rashi say? The Krav Chutz La'aretz. Come on. Well, what's you fast tired. If you go to war and you find this very attractive a woman from the enemy side, and you want the whole process what to do with her. But Kitzur, it says it's rabbis a Canaanim, even though the Canaan have to give Misa, but if you see a Canaani that's outside, so we're in there to start, we're going Chutz La'aretz to wage war, and we find the Canaanis that's over there. How do you know you're allowed to chop her up? And you don't have to kill her. Who's that she's going to? Come on, Rabbi Shimon. Because Rabbi Shimon was the one who said you have to put this pasuk at the bottom of the plaster to tell them that they could do tshuva as long as they don't live in Eretz Yisrael. This day that they crossed the Yarden had tremendous nisim. Over Yisrael the Yarden, ubalahar grizim v'lahar evel yasim shishim mil. In one day they went all the way Shisha Mil. Now this is only according to the man the Omar. We had Rabbi Huda and Rabbi Huda and Eliezer. Where Grizim Har Eva was, where it was in the map. It said Zechar, where it is. But then maybe there's another place that's also called Rabbi Huda is the one that says it's all the way up by Shem. According to Rabbi Huda, it's a big nace. According to Eliezer, it's mamash right there, which is actually what his taina was. That it's so far. It's after they went that same day. Rabbi Huda says it's a nace like our Gemara over here. And no one, nothing could stand in front of Klai. So Nisra. Rashi says a lashon of they went to the bathroom. They got such a pachad and such a fear from Klai that the mamash lost control of themselves. Shenema as a masai ashalech lefenecha. It's a masi. I'm sorry, ashalech lefenecha. Masi as called ha'am asher tavai behem. So you see, Hashem is going to put His fear in front of everybody. But Masi, Rashi says an interesting lashon. Okay. I thought I saw. Right. I says the Hamaisi is the lashon that they went to the bathroom. That's how you know. Okay. Ad yava amcha Hashem zu bia rishayna. Ad yava amzu kanisa zu bia shniya. It's talking. This is the pasuk in. Pretty sure it says yes, sure. Ad yava amzu kanisa, right? Ad yava amzu kanisa. So this pasuk, yeah, this is an Azasher, and this pasuk, we're dashing. The first part of the pasuk is bia rishayna. The first time we went there to Yisrael with Yeshua. Nun, and the second time is when we went up with Ezra. The Emar me'ata v'ruyin hayu Yisrael last time when Nathan be a shliach could be a rishayna. Ella, we should have had Hashem Kiyachal. His intention was that he makes just as much of a splash on the second time we go to Yisrael as the first time. Ella shegaram hachet. And Rashi doesn't explain it clearly. I think Rashi says it's about by the maybe the Averis during the second base of English. But I think the Mesifta is more mafaret that it's because they didn't all come up from Bava. They weren't like so excited about it. And like whoever came, but it wasn't like this whole umph with the whole Klai all coming together. This is again going back to the process of what happened that day when they crossed the Yarden. and they wrote it in 7 languages. Shenem be'er heitev v'halu oiles v'shlavim v'achlu v'shasu v'samchu v'samchu v'bracha v'kilalu. They did the brachas and the klalas. The kiplu as avanim ubav v'lanu as v'lanu the ubav v'lanu b'Gilgal. They took it to Gilgal and they subbed over there. Shenem v'havartim oisim imachem v'hinachtem oisim b'malayin. We had this already in the Mishnah. Yachal b'cham malayin malayin tamalayin asher talinu by halayla. After that night, you don't have to travel with these things. They're not travel-sized stones. These were massive stones, and they were put in the place they stayed in that night. They were put in, and that's it. So we're talking more about the day that they crossed. This tzira, this bug, this insect that waged war on our behalf, did not cross the Yarden. I'm going to send the tzira to wage war, to hit the enemy before you. So you see that it did go across. No. It stood on the edge, on the western side, in other words, on the chutz side of the Yarden, and it spit across poison. The tzam, it's venom. The simsa ineim milmala, and it blinded them on top. The seirasta milmata, and made them infertile, made them castrated them from below. They're very strong like arazim, like cedar trees. Another type of very strong trees. The sharasha of the tachas. I'm going to hit them from the period on top, and the shayrish and the root from the bottom, referring to again the eyes and the genitalia, the genitals. Papa Amar. Papa has a different parish, not that they spit across necessarily. Amar shtei tzaris have a chad the Moshe, a chad the Yeshua, the Moshe lo have the Yeshua avos. When the Mishnah says, when the Brisa says that tzira did not go across, that's referring to the ones in Moshe's times. But in the times of Yeshua, they did go across, and those were the ones that infected and waged war against the enemy. Shisha shvatim alu l'roish har gerizim. So that's talking about the pasuk says in its entirety. All Klal Yisrael, all the Chashuvim, everybody went on to two different mountains. It wasn't random. They got selected where they should stand. They all faced. It was either side of the Aron. Half of them on Har Grizim, and the half is on the other side by Har Eva. The question is, what's this? Hey, how you do? Like we're supposed to know which half you're talking about. Whereas hey is always like a lashon. It's hey you do, and it didn't need to be said. You just say chetze over here and chetze over there. What's the v'hachetze? Amar of Kahana keder shechalukin kach kan tachalukin ba'am ephod. The ephod was an apron that the kohen wore that the cheshon was attached to, I think. And they had two stones, one on each shoulder of the Kohen Gadol, and on each stone was written 6 shvatim. And also had each shevet was written separately on the cheshon. But so the ephod had its own had all shvatim written, and Rav Kahana is saying that the Hechetzia is referring to those 6 that we said over there. So it's just like a little reference. But the Meisei on Rav Kahana, shtei avanim taiva is how you the Kohen Gadol al kasefa. 2 of the Kohen Gadol had 2 beautiful stones on his shoulders. Achas mikam, one on each side. Shmeish name as shvatim kasav aleim. Shisha Evan Zu, Shisha Evan Zu. Each one had 6 names. Shnei Shisha mishmeisam al Evan ha'echas. And then it says Shnia Ketodaisam. V'loy v'shayna Ketodaisam. Why? It says. Let's read the full passage for a second. Shisha mishmeisam al Evan ha'echas. Shmeisa Shisha and Isarim al Evan ha'shenis. So 6 were on the first one, and the 6 remaining were on the second one as they were born. So it's the Maraz Medani that as they were born is only on the second stone. Why? The first 6, Yehuda jumped ahead of Reuben, I'm assuming because of Malchus. And there were 50 letters in Gamri, and all the Shatim's names had 50 letters. 25 and 25. We're going to explain later exactly the breakdown. So that's Tanakama. Tanakama says it's an order of the birth, except for Yehuda is in front of Reuben. So that's the breakdown. This week's parsha by Midbar. They weren't the way they were separate. The way they were listed in the order that they were listed in Parashat Bimidbar is not the way they're listed in the ephod. In Shemais, Ketzad Bnei Leah Kesidron. The Bnei Leah were like their order. Bnei Rachel Echem Mikan Echem Mikan. Bnei Shvach is Be'emtza. So they have Leah's kids. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Yisachar, Zebulun. That's well, Dina's not there; she's not a shevet, right? So you have 6 of Leah's, and then the remaining 4 of the Shvachas, and Yosef and Binyamin. So Yosef and Binyamin are either side of the stone, and the other 4 are in the middle. The Ella Ma'ani Makayim Chitudaisem. So what the pasuk says Chitudaisem? What does that mean? Kishmaisim shekar lem aviyam the like Hashem shekar lem Moshe. And we're going to explain what that means in a second. Ruvain v'loy Ruvaini, Shimon v'loy Shemaini, Dan v'loy Hadani, Gad v'loy Hagadi. So we see that like this. The point. We have a kasha because we have a kasha of Kahana. So Kahana said that the way that was done in Har Grizim is the way it was done in Ephraim, and that does not work according to either shita. Either it's Leah's kids and Rachel's with the Leah's kids and Leah's children, the Shvatim from Leah with in order of their birth, but Ruvain, Yehuda in front of Ruvain, or it's what's the other shita? Right, or right, the order of their birth. And the other one says that it's her kids, and then it's either the order of their birth, except that the first stone has Yehuda first, or it's Leah's children, and then the Shvat, and then the Shivchas and Rachel's children. Okay, so that's the two shitas, and regardless how Grizim, it says Rashi just brings that very simple. Shimon v'Levi, Shimon and here say the Hagrizim Shimon v'Levi Yehuda Yisachar Yosef Binyamin. According to no shita, the Shimon and Binyamin and Yosef go into the same thing because either it's all Leah's kids, which is Shimon's part of Leah's Chavra, and then Yosef and Binyamin on the other side, or it's the order of the birth, and that's also Shimon and Binyamin and Yosef would be on opposite on different stones. Either way, it does not work according to either sheet of the Brisa. Give the Kahana to Yufta. But yeah, the Elamai V'Chetz. So now we're back to the question: what's this hay of the Chetz? Right? Tana Chetz Shamul Har Grizim Meruba Mechetz Shal Har Elo. The amount, even though it's split by Shev 50-50, but as in amount in the head count, Har Grizim had much more. So the hay is a miyut in the Har Evel. It says the half went to Har Evel. In other words, it's not a full half because hay is a miyut. Because Levi was lower, there was part of Levi that was also in the valley, so therefore Har Grizim is less. Then Har Grizim should be less because Levi was in Har Grizim. Even though part of Levi was lower, Bnei Yosef Imam, because Yosef was also, Yosef means Ephraim and Menashe, was also on Har Grizim, and they were tremendous. They had a huge, very large population, and we know this because Bnei Yosef El Yeshua Lema Madua Nesat Li Nachal Garel Echav Echav Echavani Amrav. Why are you giving me one measly plot for everybody else? We have a lot more people to feed. You can't give me the same. You can't ration out the same amount. He's referring to the land; they're not food. But he's saying, why do you give me one chelik of Eretz Yisrael? I have a lot more people. And Yeshua said to them, go to the forest and hide. Why? He was telling them, if you take such a big item, then you should hide in the forest, and you shouldn't. No one should give you ayin hara. Amrulei zari de Yosef leishot to be in a bisha. We can get an ayin hara because we're the children of Yosef. T'chsev ben paris Yosef ben paris alei ayin, and we Amar Ravo al tihi kara alei ayin ela oilei ayin. They're above the eye, which means ayin hara is not shoyet on bnei Yosef. Yosef Chanina Amar mehalcha v'yigdu l'roiv b'kerev haaretz. This is Yaakov in his bracha to Yosef. Ma dogim shebiyam ma'ayim mechasen aleim ve'in ha'ayin shaletes b'hem avzari shel Yosef ein ha'ayin shaletes b'hem. Just like the Bekarev Haaretz is referring to the fish that are in the ground and the inside the earth, and they can't be affected by ayin hara. So too the bnei Yosef. If you do with the cheshbon, I didn't see it inside, but we'll trust the Gemara on this one, that there's really only 49 letters on one of the stones, the second stone. Amar Rav Yitzchak, Yosef Esifu Eis Achas, Yosef added one letter. Now, if you see, there's a lashon. This is a little base here from the Rambam passes like this. Even though the Gemara is not mashma like that, at least here, but the second half of the Gemara is mashma like that, which I think is why he passed like that. Did not see the Rambam inside. Yosef Esifu Eis Achas. Yosef was added. Yosef added a one letter. Shenema Eidus be Yosef Samai B'Tzeisa Alaretz Mitzrayim. When he was ruling Mitzrayim, he was called Yehosef. Maskil Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak Kidul Daisim Be'inan, and it learns. It says that they have to be called by their name of birth, their birth name, and that Yosef was only much later when he went to Mitzrayim. Ella, so we say no, we don't like that pshat. Now usually Ella means we take away what Yitzchak said. We see the Gemara is going to say later. It's going to sound like it makes sense that he is called that. Ella kol atar kulam binyamin ksiv hacha binyamin shalem. Usually it's binyamin without a yud, without two yuds, and now we're going to add it. Now it's written binyamin shalem. So that's why you have 50 letters, or 25 letters. K'dechsev v'aviv kari lo binyamin with two yuds. Amar Rav Chana bar Bizna Amar Rav Shimon Chasidid Yosef shekidish Shem Shemayim v'seisoi sifu alav eis achas mishmai shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu. Yosef got this hay as an added because he was Mechad Shem Shemayim b'seiser by Eishes Petifar. Yehuda shekidish Shem Shemayim b'Perhesi, which we're going to see tomorrow. Nikrosh Kulai al Shemai Shel Hakadosh Baruch Hu. He got the whole name of Hakadosh Baruch Hu, which is Yehuda, is basically the Shem Hashem with a dalet. Yosef Mahi. What's the story of Yosef? This is where he went. This is the famous story of Yosef and Potiphar, and we're going to see some interesting things about it. And he said that he went to do his malach. He was asking to do an aver with her taka, and that's why he went home. He went mamash to go do work, take it, whatever, I don't take it the garbage, but to go manage the house and do what he had needed to do. He went to go be mizana with Eish Potiphar. And the ain ish ma'anshay abayis, there was no one home. Now we call him a Rasha because remember we had a Gemara that he bought a Yosef to be with him physically, and a Malach came Bagavril and he was Masaras since he couldn't do anything with him anyway. But he's a big Rasha for wanting to do this. But it could be he has this guy's Mishnah Malach, and he has such a massive house and he has a whole compound, and he's nobody's home. They all went to do Avodah Zarah. They all went to mass, and they left, and the house was empty. He Amar lehem Chayla Hava, whatever the little girl says. She said, "No, I have a headache. I can't go." Amra, she said to herself, there's no day that I'm going to be able to chap Yosef like today. But to say she chapped his clothing, saying, "Shachav imi, lay with me." He saw his father's image in the window. Yosef, he said to him, Yosef Tzaddik, your destiny is to be listed as one of the shvatim on the ephod. You want to be erased in the ephod and be known as the friend of Zionist. The friends of Zionists lose their greatness. He returned. We're going to see what this means in a second. That his zera went back and he stopped the avera. He stuck his hands into the ground and the zera went out through his fingernails. Whatever that means, I don't know, but that's what the Gemara is saying. So it says, "Midei Aviv Yaakov, mi gorm la sheyichalkik al avnei ephod, ela avir Yaakov." His father is the one who caused them to be saved and to end up on the ephod like he was supposed to. Misham Raya Eben Yisrael. He became over there from this story. He became a Raya Yisrael. How do you know he's a Raya Yisrael? Misham Zacha V'nasa Raya Shenam Raya Yisrael Azina Noy Katzayin Yosef. So you see that he was referred to as the Raya Yisrael because again, I think the way he was manning the whole Mitzrayim, he saved the whole Mitzrayim. So he was considered the Raya Yisrael. Tanya Raya Yosef. So we'll do one mishtikel. Yeah, we'll do two. We'll get to the bottom of another 26 minutes. Tanya Yosef, let's say it's Mimena Yud Beis Shvatim L'derech Sheyatzu B'Yaakov Aviv. Yosef was really right. He really was on the level to be able to have his own 12 Shvatim. Shenema Eila Tadis Yaakov Yosef. He put them together, the mamish, that Yosef is like Yaakov. Ella, or maybe that Eila Tadis Yaakov Yosef is referring to Yosef also could have had these Tadas. Not sure what the dik over there is. Rashi says, "Taldish Yatzu Yaakov Kenegben royally Latzis Yosef." That's the smichas of the Yaakov Yosef. Ela Sheyatzu Shechar Zera Mibein Tziparna Yadav. He lost these 10 tipas, one from each finger, and those were the children that he lost. Afa Pikein Yatzu Binyamin. He had a kind of like Binyamin kind of like made up for it or had some shaykhs to it. The Kulan, because he had 10 sons. Afa Pikein Yatzu Binyamin Achav and Binyamin had 10 children. Bekula Nikra Shemai. He named all 10 kids because Yosef wasn't around and he missed them, and he named them all out Yosef. Shenema Ubnei Binyamin Bela V'Vecha V'Ashbel. And we're going to go through them one by one. Bela, referring to Yosef, Shenivla Bein Humais. He got swallowed up by the Umais. V'Vecha B'Char L'Imi. He's the B'Char to my mother. V'Ashbel Sheshava Kel, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu caused him to be captured. Geira Shegar B'Achsadias. He's living in strange countries. Minaman Shanoam B'Yosef is very pleasant. Achi v'Reish, Achi hu v'Reishihu. Mupim v'Chupim, hu lo yira b'Chupasi, v'ani lo yirisi b'Chupasai. I'm not going to be by his chassan, he's not going to be by my chassan. The Eretz Sheyara the Bein Umayis Ha'Olam, that he went down to Umayis Ha'Olam, Ikad Ami v'Ard Shepanav Daimin Lever, that his complexion was like a rose. Amar Rav Chia bar Abba, Amar Rav Yechanan b'Shasha Amar lePara LeYosef u'b'Ladachal leYaram Ish as Yadei. Without you, no one could raise their hand or lift their foot. Amar, it's Tagnine Pare, the stargazer of Pari said, "Evet shalachu rabbi be'esim kesef tamshilenu aleinu." This Evet that was bought for $20, whatever, 20 silver pieces, he's going to rule over us. And we already had this reference in a different Gemara. I think it's also in Sotah that it says Vayered Yosef. That Yosef went down, and the lashon is a little off. And the Gemara dashes that he caused others to go down when he went to Mitzrayim. Because of this story, or everyone else got a demotion. All these chashav stargazers, Pari took them off their high horse. Amar lehen genune malchus aniraya. I see Epis a little bit of malchus in him. Aniraya bain. He's talking about all bnei malachim, but he saw in Yosef. Rashi says that it's chachma, yofi, and gvura. Chachma, gvura, and yofi. These are the attributes of malchus. Amar loy im kain yehei yoydei b'shivim lashim. He has to know 70 languages. But Gabriel v'limdai shivim lashim. We had this Gemara also that Gabriel knows 70 languages because the Gemara asked a couple of lot ago, how does the Gemara asked, how could that Basco be in Aramis and Aramis? So we know that we said that according to this number that Gabriel taught him 70 languages. That Gabriel knows Aramis. So Gabriel was trying to teach him, and he couldn't get it. And he gave him an Isachas. So I guess he was right to get the Isachas by when he was misgaber by Aisha's Potiphar, but here's when he actually got it. And after he got the hay, he was able to learn it. Shnema Eidus b'Yosef Samai b'Teisel Eretz Mitzrayim Sefas leYadati Eshma. So a language I didn't know, I was able to understand once I got this hay of the Yosef. V'lemacha Kol Lishna the Ishtai Pari Bahade Ahadale. Whatever language Pari spoke to him in, he was able to respond to him. Ishtani Iu b'Lashon HaKodesh. Now Yosef spoke to him in Lashon Kodesh. Lo, I have a koyadi. My havama. He didn't understand what he was saying. Amalei agmari, teach it to me. Agmari v'lo gama. He tried to teach me. He wasn't able to understand it. Amalei ishtabali the loy megalis. He swore to me that you're not going to tell anyone that I don't know Lashon Kodesh. Ishtabali, he swore to him. Amalei avi ishbiani lemar. And then fast forward a bunch of years when Yaakov Avinu died and Yosef Tzaddik wanted to take him out of Mitzrayim to bury him in Eretz Canaan, he said, "My father made me swear. Go to Bezdin and get nullify your Yeshua. I'm also going to make I'm going to also be after my shua that I made to you. Even though Pari didn't want him to leave because of all the bracha that Yaakov Avinu brought to the Nilos and all that, Ale ukvar as avicha Kasha hishviacha. Go bury your father like you swore, referring in a way to his own shvua because he didn't want Yosef to be able to be matter his own shvua. Thank you for joining us. And Bez Hashem, we're going to start from Lamed Vav Amud Beis, the bottom, tomorrow night.
Thank you, Mo. To school of mitzvahs. Appreciate it.